What's up guys, Hbox here. I'm actually at Smash Summit recording this video from my phone, but I wanted to record this to talk about it as soon as I could because the news here is pretty awful as to what we've just heard. And that regards PM at Riptide and PM in general. For those that aren't aware, Project Melee is a mod of Brawl that uses physics and sort of characters more akin to Melee. So there's the Brawl as a game, and they made it more like Melee, hence PM, Project Melee, which has a very dedicated scene of modders and competitors and commentators and casters alike, all that are very dedicated to make that game thrive. And Smash and Splash was pretty much one of the biggest events for PM in past years. Now with Smash and Splash gone, sort of Riptide has taken that sort of absence in a way. A lot of the previous staff went to Riptide and created a new water park tournament. Of course, PM was going to be one of the big events there that was celebrated. But today, this message was posted by the Riptide Twitter account, which reads as follows. Riptide was contacted recently by a Nintendo of America Inc. representative regarding our Project Plus events. As a result of that conversation, there will be no Project Plus tournaments or setups at Riptide. Not even setups at Riptide. We understand the impact of this news for the Project Plus community. We will be contacting all attendees registered for P Plus events with further information and the updated refund request procedure shortly. So essentially, Riptide was put between a rock and a hard place where they couldn't, even. If they allowed PM there, then Nintendo would have made a huge fuss about this. But it's pretty bizarre, and the reason it's pretty bizarre is because tournaments use the physical Brawl disc to run these events. P Plus and PM is not. You can't have that game without there being a Brawl disc, which you have to buy and own and purchase. Like you can't illegally obtain a Brawl disc unless you rob it from a store. And apparently, people are saying one of the big reasons that Nintendo is still doing this is because they don't want their IP modified in these games, because when it's live broadcasted, it still speaks badly of, not speaks badly, but speaks differently, I guess, from what their wishes are for original for a Smash game. But it's just, the more I'm reading about this, the more bizarre it is. There was definitely a huge issue in 2020, December 2020, at the end of last year, that when it comes to hackers, they had entire teams that were sort of like acting almost like a Nintendo FBI to go and seek out these people who are modifying devices and famous hackers. So they really do not like when their games are modified. But I'm gonna go ahead and be that guy. It's like a slippery slope, I guess, because Nintendo, I'm going to say if no one else has, Nintendo has sort of sponsored events in the past run by the Smash community where there were mods for the game. And it's just like, even games like Melee and 64, like the mods were there. They weren't full character mods, but take something like Melee, right, which has something as simple as a UCF fix, right? A lot of tournaments in the past did use a UCF fix. With Slippy now, it's built in, but basically allowed a sort of polling update to controllers because the game had a polling, a polling software that was sort of not as good as what it could be, and it made the sort of the battle for using different controllers very skewed. And if you had a certain controller that wasn't very good, it put you at a huge disadvantage. But now with UCF, it sort of leveled the playing field a little bit more in terms of what controller you could use and fix the polling rate. At the same time, though, it's one thing to have a modification for a game that's slight like that one, and I know that PM has new characters, new stages, has just brand new IP brought into the game, and I think that's probably where Nintendo is drawing the line. But I'm going to say this, and it's the same thing I'm going to say whenever Nintendo does this, and I get so upset about it, because they do things that bring people back, and they have all this hype about Ultimate and stuff, new DLC characters, and then they do shit like this. What is there to lose here? Honestly, I don't understand. For a game in which the servers are dead for Brawl, you can't even play Brawl online anymore. They've been dead. There's no reason for people to play the game apart from nostalgia. But PM and P Plus They breathe life into a game that's dead. And that's the beauty of having a community behind your game, and not just casuals, or not just, casual gamers who buy the game, play it, and of course they are part of the scene too. But when you have a community behind the game, and you have people who are actively making it better and keeping it alive, that's what makes it special, right? If there was no PM or P+, the game no one would even remember the word brawl after a few years at this point. But if you've ever seen a Project M or P+ tournament, they're really, really sick. Like, the metagame is constantly evolving, and they sort of tweaked and balanced the game to the point where it's actually like a really, really interesting experience to watch. And for the P+ scene, it's just like a huge slap in the face, because that means, like, it's one thing for a while they couldn't have like P+ on Twitch for certain reasons, but basically wherever Nintendo is integrated, P+ cannot live at all. And it's going to be, if this is the case for Riptide, what I'm worried about is that this is going to be the same issue that happens at all future events. And you have to imagine, like, how many nationals are coming up now. This is like, we finally have tournaments after a huge pandemic, and P+ finally had its chance to be at a super national after like a year and a half of being in a pandemic, and they still can't play. You know what I mean? It's not just like, oh, well, Nintendo has the right to do this because they're modifying their IP. You know what? Screw that, man. I'm tired of using that as an excuse for a game that's completely otherwise dead. I'm tired of using that as an excuse. Why wouldn't you want people enjoying your product when you're not going to update it ever? You know what I mean? Like, when Melee was put at EVO 2013, and Nintendo tried to cease and desist the live streaming of the event, it's just mind-boggling. The culture is just so out of touch there, and they don't understand what people want nowadays, especially from esports. So this is incredibly disheartening for me to see. I stopped playing P+ a while ago, but I'm active at events where it is one of the main events, and Riptide, and previously Smash and Splash, these were mainstays, and they could have been a continued mainstay for P+. Like, it was a massive, the amount of entrance they would get was absolutely incredible. So it really is just, it's pointless. It's pointless to do this. It's petty. It's petty. It's like picking at something that's so, compared to Ultimate, compared to how wildly big and massive Nintendo is, why target this specifically? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And once again, I hate to say it, but it's reinforcing the fact that Nintendo truly is out of touch with the culture of the people that buy their products. It just doesn't make any sense. And they did this right after the Big House issue. It's like, back to back and back. And you have to imagine how many people bought their flights and hotels for PM specifically for this event. All the P+ players now have to cancel their plans, go around back, because Nintendo doesn't want their game, which is played on legally purchased Brawl discs, they don't want that to be played by a lot of people. And all it's going to do is anger them. It's going to anger them. It's just insane. Insane to do it so close to the event. Look, my heart is with the P+ community. I think this is absolute bullshit. And if there's any way to have some sort of event on the side during Riptide, like in a separate venue, that is what it is. Please salvage it. You know, save Smash, save PM should be a new hashtag in this case. This is absolute bullshit. I'm very angry. I'm very upset to the point where I guess I had to film this video from Summit in a side office here. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think in the comments, and please someone give me an explanation as to why Nintendo is doing this. It's horrible. It's horrible. And as Fizzy pointed out in this tweet just now, some game companies embrace their modding communities and end up turning those mods into games that generate years of revenue for themselves. Nintendo instead tries to stop out anything that smells like a mod, spurning their biggest fans. I'm sad for the P+ PM community. Our hearts are with you. And yeah, what a shame that a game this beautiful has a developer like Nintendo. It's just tragic. Man, fucking sucks.